Hello, it's Dawn from Conversations. I have a very scary, vulnerable post about a toxic relationship that I'm ending. And I'm posting it on my YouTube channel, Conversations Podcast. It's like 10 minutes long. Again, I feel super vulnerable for posting it, but I want to have it out there. I think it will help not just me, but a lot of other people too. So just letting you know, and just know that this was very difficult for me, but I'm trying to remain true to myself and authentic and real. I want people to know the real me. So if you want to go see me being my most vulnerable, go to YouTube. I posted the video. It's out there for the world to see. Okay, guys. Hope you enjoy the podcast. Hello and welcome to Conversations. I'm your host, Dawn, and this podcast is just a lighthearted, easygoing show where we talk all things soul, spirit, and self-discovery. I just want to learn and grow and elevate in the best way possible, and I want you to come with me. I'm looking forward to all these new people that I'm going to meet and possibly building a brand new soul tribe. If you are new here, welcome. I am so happy to have you. And if you are returning and have been following me, thank you so much. Welcome back. I appreciate you all. And I hope that you get so much out of this podcast. I just am so excited for what's to come. So if you're ready, here we go. Welcome to another episode of Conversations. Today we have Natalie. Hi, Natalie.
Hi, Dawn. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to have you on here. And you're in Australia, right?
I am indeed.
What time is it there right now?
It's like 7 a.m. No big deal.
Oh my God. You're fresh out of bed just for this. I
Yep.
appreciate you doing this. Because it's like 4 p.m. here. So, and I think we're a day like you're tomorrow. I don't know how it all works.
Yeah, I'm totally in the future.
You're in my future. Okay, so can you introduce yourself to everybody? Kind of tell them what you're all about.
So I am a tarot reader. I teach tarot at the Crystal Aura Tarot School, and I also do readings for the collective there. So it's my passion to teach people about the incredible, I want to call it like a spiritual awakening drug of tarot. A lot of people feel like it's probably a bit of a basic entry point, but in my experience, it's incredibly deep and just keeps unfolding so much wisdom. And it's helped me understand this like forgotten and hidden language of symbols that I believe is innate in all of us. And it's kind of like my mission to wake it up in everyone I work with.
Oh gosh. Is a lot of it intuitive too, besides the symbols? I mean, do you rely on your intuition a lot of the time?
Absolutely. I think that's how I unlocked the power of tarot to begin with, that I was finding it quite boring just to memorize each card. And once I actually started working intuitively with the energy of the cards, but also with the symbols, because that is how that's what kind of woke my intuition up. Not immediately going to read like online or in a book what something meant, to actually intuitively figure it out and then validate it later and find, oh, I was on the right track. And actually, what I uncovered was a way deeper layer of meaning. So that's one part of the intuition. And it's a fantastic training tool for the intuition as well, because intuition is all about trust. And once you start getting those validations, you start really building up a deep trust with your own intuition.
Right. So, in your opinion, what is tarot for?
That's such a good question. From my perspective, I think we've been a bit psyoped into believing that it's just this fortune telling tool, because some people are really skilled with seeing the future, and I think already have that kind of clairvoyant skill, or claircognizance. I have a bit of that. But it's much, much more powerful when you're working with it as a tool for understanding what's happening on multi-dimensional layers in the present moment for you. It will tell you stuff about what's happening in the outside world as well, but to use it as a tool for self-exploration is incredibly powerful, because it can show you things that you're not always ready to see on your own through simple pictures. It's very powerful.
Mm. Are there any cards that are bad?
A lot of people would say yes to that, but I don't. I've moved beyond duality of good and bad. So I think every card has a lesson for us and a special message, and we can interpret it however we want. So if we have fear or superstition around particular imagery in the cards, a lot of people feel that way, say about the death card or the devil card, that
Hmm.
they're bad and evil. What they actually teach us is really important lessons about stages of life or stages of a journey. So if we think about the death card, death is one of the most natural things in life. If you think about the process of composting, in order to create new life, things need
Hmm.
to end their cycle, and that is death. So it's about ending of cycles, and that can actually be quite liberating and refreshing, depending on the question that you've asked or where you're at and what you're trying to explore. And knowing this stuff frees you up from being so superstitious as well, that you're not going to get some evil card that's going to tell you you're doomed. It's actually going to give you a really important piece of advice to help you navigate through a particular challenge. And the devil card's the same. The devil card is more about like the vices of the material world, the temptations. So it can be about addictions, which people find quite scary, taboos, but it also can be about what addictive tendencies do you have? What do you do that you know isn't for your highest good, and that keeps you kind of trapped in this cycle of not realizing your full potential?
Right. And you could use that to mean overthinking. It doesn't have to be that you're addicted to heroin or something. It could just be that you overthink too much, or you stress too much about things, or have road rage or whatever. Um,
Yeah.
I think we
It,
all think of it as it has to be something super extreme.
I mean, sometimes it can be really, really frank and be pointing out extreme things that we don't want to see. But you're right, it's usually much more subtle, and it's an invitation to actually meditate and think and contemplate about what could this card be telling me. I'm not into like crazy sex taboos or heroin addiction. So is this telling me I'm overindulging in food a bit, and that's an avoidance tactic that I'm using? That those kinds of questions, if you're willing to use it as a tool for self-inquiry, it can tell you so much.
So what is it that's different about yours when you call it quantum tarot? What is that?
Yeah. So, in my experience working with tarot, once I kind of allowed myself to not be the highly skilled and 100% accurate fortune teller, it was like I unlocked a key, and what that key was a key into multidimensionary tarot, and that's, I guess, how I describe it as being quantum, because it allows you to convene with your higher self. So to kind of peek through the veil and commune with your higher self, get guidance from your spirit team. So that's one aspect of it. It's not of this world. It's like this telephone or some kind of communication tool with higher wisdom, I want to say. And then the other thing that happens with tarot once you start using it a lot is that you start getting those synchronicities through the cards, like you do with angel numbers, and seeing signs outside on, like license plates and those kinds of things. You start to see patterns emerging, and you realize it's like this universal wink from different layers of reality, which is really fun.
Gosh, yeah. So does does it all go together like numerology then? Do you use that, any part of that, or is it all separate?
Yeah, this is why it's so fun to start working deeply with tarot, because I've been able to kind of unpack tarot in the way I teach it, but this is available to anyone, where there's so many systems of language and of symbol in the tarot, and numerology is such an important one. The cards are numbered in the major and the minor arcana, and they the numbers themselves tell a story. The like what they mean in numerology tells a story. How they run sequentially tells a story. You can easily follow a journey that the characters of the tarot go through just by showing what happens from ace to 10, or through the numbers of the major arcana. So you can use your understanding of numerology, but even if you're not that big on numerology, there'll be another system that works for you. It could be color theory. It could be astrology correspondences. There's so many different, there's myth, there's so many different systems, and numerology is like a really important one.
Gosh, I love all of these topics so much. I wish there was like a channel on TV, on Netflix or something where you could just watch all about that stuff. I just find it so interesting. Do you have a favorite card?
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked me about that, because I've got like a favorite card from the artwork perspective. There's probably, okay, I'm going to say three cards. One has been a great teacher to me, which is the Strength card. The Strength card has some really powerful symbols on it. It's got a maiden taming a lion, and she's got like the symbol of the figure eight, like the infinity, which is called a
Mhm.
lemniscate. It sits above her head, and that has been I've been working with tarot now, where I've started to pick a card each sun season, like astrological wise, and I'll pick the corresponding card. So last month, or when it was Leo season, I worked with the Strength card, which was the corresponding card, and it taught me so much about tarot, about the symbol of the lion's gate, because lions are companions on our spiritual journey. They guard the gates of transformation. So to work with this card for a month, it unlocked so much wisdom for me and helped me understand other spiritual concepts and esoteric concepts quite deeply. So that's a cool tip if you want to deepen your practice with tarot, or even if you're just getting started and you're curious about the artwork on a card, sit with it. Pick it every day and just study it and see what it has to tell you. Be open through your intuition to learning. And then I've got a power card. So this is a fun practice. When you start using your tarot, you might see a card that keeps popping up for you. It just repeats and you start to see patterns with what it's trying to tell you. Or it could be a card that you're just really attracted to the artwork. You love it. You get excited every time it pops up for you. That can be your power card. So my power card is, I call it the genie card. It's the Nine of Cups, which has this genie looking man sitting in front of nine cups that kind of form the shape of a rainbow. So that's my like power card. And when I get that, it's like the universe is winking and saying, you got this, everything's cool, keep going. And then from an artwork perspective, I really do love the star card. It's so beautiful. It's a beautiful, naked kind of goddess looking maiden, and she's kind of peering over a pool, a beautiful pool in this gorgeous forest kind of environment. And you can tell she's looking at her reflection, and that card's a wonderful symbol of hope in the tarot. So that's probably my favorite from an artwork perspective. So I've got a few.
So do you have multiple decks?
I do. Some people love collecting decks, but I buy a deck when I feel very connected with the artwork. So I might see a picture online, because I love, say, on my social media, posting artwork that looks like tarot or that has tarot symbols but isn't necessarily a tarot card. So sometimes I'll find my way to, say, to an oracle deck that I would never have known about through studying the symbols just from a Pinterest image. But
Right.
otherwise, I'll have an idea in my mind that I would really love a deck that has very soft colors, that has gentle messaging, and I'll go looking for it, and that's how I'll connect. But generally, there's lots of decks that you can get, and I like the classic tarot because it is an esoteric wisdom key. And I feel like personally, sometimes with the newer decks that are very pop culture focused, the original symbolic messages can get a bit subverted. So I like going to the OG.
Right. Yeah. And I was going to ask you that. Do do most readers read the same card the same? Do you know what I
Mm,
mean?
yeah.
Do, okay.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. So everyone's different. So this is really great when you read tarot. You don't have to read like anyone else,
Mhm.
especially if your focus is on your intuition. So building your intuition and using your intuition. It's my perspective that there's not necessarily a right or wrong way to do it or a right or wrong answer. However, I do think that each card is kind of encoded with an energetic sort of truth or theme. So that's why, five readers could have a different interpretation, but the overall theme of the card's probably going to be very similar based on the artwork. And this could be because their study has led them to memorize key themes, or it could be that that's just the inherent energy of the card that comes through, and that when you're connected with the tarot, you pick up on that energy.
Hmm. So what does it look like when you are going to do a reading for somebody? Like, do you have feelings before you even pick up the cards? Or is it just once you
Mm.
start shuffling the cards, it all starts, messages start kind of coming through you? Or how does it work?
Yeah, look, again, everyone's different. I obviously have some other spidey senses. I mentioned before I was claircognizant, so I get to, even though I said I'm not a fortune teller, I often know what's coming and have since I was a very little kid. So I think when you come together with someone to do a reading, there's this merging of energetic fields, whether that's in person or online, because I do most of my work through Zoom. There's a merging of the field. So you're going to pick up on someone else's kind of energy. And
Mhm.
tarot is really interesting because a lot of the time when people come to you for a reading, they might be in a fairly desperate situation. They're seeking answers and they need them quick, and they're not finding the answers within themselves. So that's an energy you can pick up on, that there's some perhaps fear or trepidation or anxiety that's in the field, without even needing to ask the person their question. Otherwise, I love to work with people who are actually wanting to get a reading for empowerment when they're not in that kind of energy, and they're actually like, I think I know what I want, and I want some guidance on how to proceed. So that's a really empowering time, and I can pick up on the excitement in the field and the potential. So that's really powerful, the potential. Some readers don't like to know anything about the person's situation. They want to go in completely blind and just be asked a question and see how much they can get from their own kind of like psychic abilities and an interpretation of the cards as that kind of like quantum conduit. I'm a bit different, and a lot of other people like me, where I like because I do so much kind of symbolic interpretation of the cards. It's like unpacking layers and layers of meaning. So the more I can know about someone's story, the more detail I can give them in their answer to their question. So people are different in how they approach it. Some people would find my way to be heresy, but no, I think that's reasonable because if someone's coming to me for a reading, they want to know stuff, and I want to give them as much information as I can.
Gosh, have you ever had a reading just you were blown away or they were blown away at how accurate it was?
Mm. Yeah, like sometimes, like I said, because I'm not someone who's about telling the future, and I'm really about getting to the truth. So a lot of the time people will validate as we're going along that yes, you're speaking to something really deep within me, but it's not until later that they confirm that something I've said has been really accurate or profound. And I mean, what's blows me away is when I'll get a message like a year later, and someone will say, "Hey, that thing you said in the tarot reading that I was like,
Mhm.
what the hell are you talking about?" Well, it just happened. So I remember
Oh,
having a reading with a friend of mine who she's I won't give too much away because I don't want to like share people's private
right,
readings. um
right.
but basically I told her this is not at all related to her, but I said, you got to look out for a guy in a boat. There's going to be a guy in a boat that rocks up and you're going to have a lot of fun. And she's like, whatever. And yeah, just like not that long ago, a couple of months ago, she's like, hey, that guy on the boat, he arrived and I've been having a lot of fun. And I was, that's awesome. go
Oh my
go for it.
gosh. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Do you do you tap into your own spirit guides then, or the person that you're reading for spirit guides?
Oh, that's such a good question. Well, I started out like really getting feeling a connection with tarot as this really incredible, powerful tool when I started working with it while my Akashic records open. So that's one thing that I've trained to do is read my own Akashic records, and I will open those often for readings with other people. And that's just a way to go to a particular kind of vibrational frequency in the ether where I know my guides hang out, and where there's a whole library of information that I can kind of tap into to help guide someone that I'm working with. So I definitely call on my guides, even if I'm not opening my records, because I'm kind of just always in that field now, that vibrationary field where I'll get the downloads and stuff. So it's not so much a formal practice for me anymore. But I do always invite my guides to come and chat with me, and it's generally to help me deliver a reading that is clear and to the point, and that gives the person I'm working with exactly the information they need to feel empowered. And then I'll also invite the person I'm reading for, their guides, to come and pass through any messages that they think are important that the person needs to hear right now.
I I am so still intrigued with the Akashic records. My head won't wrap around it.
Mm.
Do you ever, or have you ever experienced that where something is just so abstract that you're just like, I'm not getting it, but then eventually it comes to you? I don't know that. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
I
It
don't
it
understand it.
it is a pretty crazy concept, especially when we're thinking about it literally, that it's this hall of records that exists somewhere else, like
Yes.
in heaven or under the Sphinx foot or whatever it might be. Really, it's like doing a guided meditation where it's the way I work so much with vibration. So the way I it makes sense for me is that once you get familiar with the process of saying your opening prayer and being in this calm place of receiving,
Hmm.
you understand what it feels like to be in that place where you get your messages. And everyone's messages are different. Some people literally visualize picking up a book with someone's name on it and going to the page that talks about their career
Right.
in 2023. For me, it's not like that at all. And I think that's why it was really fun to like incorporate tarot into it, which was already a mode that I was like comfortable with and understood, that it just kind of supercharged it. So when I'm in the records, it's a place of peace in my heart where I can receive. That's the first way I understand that, okay, I'm in the right place to kind of receive some information. And I haven't ever really been able to sit there and hear messages. I use automatic writing. And once I figured that was my way of getting my messages, that I would just go into that place of being open hearted and calm, um, then I could pick up a pen and paper and just start writing, and beautiful poetry would flow. So it's really, yes, the prayer aspect of it, because you kind of, most people when you train, whether it's through a book or a course with someone, they'll teach you a particular prayer, and words are vibration. So and most of these prayers are channeled. So by reciting these words, you're kind of aligning with a vibration that is of alignment with this energetic sphere of all that is, because it's really, it's like this repository for every thought, every experience, every memory of an emotion that's ever existed. So all that stuff's got to go somewhere, right? And it's not material. So that's another way to look at it, that it's just the place where all the things that are unseen go and hang out. And if you know how to get there, then you can access whatever you want. But everyone's different, and it's just it's a way, you've got to figure out your way of tapping into that field.
Gosh, that's just fascinating. Do
But yeah,
you
to answer your question, astrology was the one for me that was like, how the hell am I ever going to figure this out? It is so complicated, but
There's a
I'm
lot of
getting there.
branches to it too, which is I never knew that until I was starting to do podcasts with different astrologers, and they have some that are into ancestry astrology, and some, yeah,
Mm.
it's just mind blowing how many variations there are. So when I saw your video, you look so young, and I was like, how long has she been doing this? Like what got you started? Did you go to college? Have you always just been a spiritual being? When did
Uh,
this all start happening for you?
yeah, it's been my career for like a couple of years, and it's only just really evolving into what it's always evolving, right? But it
Right.
started out as this like a curiosity to kind of okay. As a child, I did have experiences of hearing things and knowing things, but some stuff happened to me when I was little that made me shut those kind of curiosities off. And my way of shutting them off wasn't to not have them anymore. It was to not, I just didn't think that it was unique or interesting. I thought everyone experienced what I experienced. So I just didn't pay it any mind. And it wasn't until probably I was in my like mid 20s where I was like, oh, wait, people don't hear these things. And if I tell anyone about it, they're going to think I'm crazy. So I just kept it to myself.
Mm.
Um, and then with tarot, I guess I've always been curious. I think that's a huge part of being a any kind of like person on a spiritual awakening journey. It always starts with curiosity. And I've always wanted to know how things work. And I did have a health kind of crisis about 10 years ago where I wasn't sure if I had cancer. I had this
Oh my.
tumor. Yeah. And it actually led me to explore what happens if I get a diagnosis that says something bad. And it led me to learn about energy. And I can't explain the comfort I felt when I learned and I guess remembered in myself the
Hmm.
truth of the fact that we're all just energy, and energy can never die. It just changes form. So no matter what, I'd be okay. And I was fine throughout that journey, and I did have to have surgery, but I got really good news. And after that, it was on. I was just like, I'm learning about crystals. I'm learning about aliens. I always love
Yeah.
conspiracy. But tarot, I picked up, I haven't been doing it for that long. Some people my age have been doing it since they were 16. And I picked this up probably 8 years ago. But I studied photography at university. And so I already had the symbolic language encoded in me. I'd studied
Hmm.
it, I'd analyzed it. And so when I started working with these cards, it was like this immediate familiarity where I was like, oh, I know how this works. I'm going to remember what I already know. And whether this was through like my study of the visual language of photography and like art, or it's the kind of innate inner language that has been passed through our DNA through many, many, many like generations, passed down from our ancestors that I think is encoded in us. Because if we can all speak, regardless of which language we talk. We can communicate through symbols universally. So, this is a universal language that we all understand somehow. And that's what I feel like tarot is an amazing esoteric tool to unlock. It's that forgotten language, that suppressed language that we've kind of been coaxed out of remembering, which is incredibly powerful and activating.
Do you watch tarot? Do you have any favorite tarot readers, or do you just do your own thing?
Oh, that's a really good question. Um, look, I have learned a fair bit from some of the tarot on Gaia. There's a series on there.
Hmm.
I think it's by Teresa Bullard, called it's about the alchemy of tarot, which is really cool and interesting.
Hmm.
Oh, I love Mario from Symbolic Studies. He is incredible. So he is an amazingly skilled tarot reader. I haven't actually got a reading with him, but I just watch him and I'm just amazed by his depth of knowledge about the myths and the symbols, historic kind of symbols in tarot.
Right.
Amazing stuff. He's
Oh,
incredible.
I'll have to look him up. So when you do a reading for the collective,
Mm.
who is the collective? Is it just all of us human beings that are down here? What does the collective mean?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I love reading for the collective, maybe even more than individuals, because I feel like one of my important missions here is to tap into the collective energy field and kind of interpret what's happening. And the cards help me tell the story and to pull out specific messages and themes about what's happening in the energy. So sometimes we can understand the impacts of, say, astrological energy on the collective, astrological energy, the movement of the planets. If you follow astrology, you'll understand that concept of affecting us on an individual level, but it also affects the world collectively, that it can influence particular world events, and we experience that in recent years, like big time. So that's one way of understanding kind of like what the collective field is. So it can literally be the full entire globe, every person and living thing on the planet. We all share this collective energy field of Earth, but it can also be the field of our community. So like I said before, when I meet with someone to do a reading, our fields, our energy fields are kind of merging for a moment, and on a kind of more cosmic scale, you and our fields are merging right now, and everyone that I know is slightly merged with my field, and everyone that you know is slightly merged with your field. So acutely, when I do my collective readings, I do them as live streams on Instagram, and I'll definitely feel deeply the presence of every person who's watching it live or will watch the replay. So that's the first kind of like layer of the onion of this collective field. But then their field includes everyone else in their community as well. So it's kind of like the acute field of all the people that kind of follow me, and then the kind of ripple effects in, say, like a pool of everyone else that they touch kind of influences this field too. That's how I'd describe it.
Mm-hmm. Wow, like a virus. Just spreads all the way through.
You could say that.
Yeah. But okay, so you said you have your cards. What were you gonna do, like a reading, or what were you gonna
I
do?
can. How about
Oh,
I pull one card for your collective, and we'll just see what's happening. So I'll be asking. So it's always important to either have something you're contemplating in mind. Some tarot readers, like, you always need to ask a question and it has to be very clear, but sometimes you just want like a vibe check, right?
yeah.
So let's do a vibe check, and then all you have to do is just have the intention as you're shuffling, like, show me the energy of today. So let's do that. Let's check in on the energy of today. And because this is quantum, if you're listening to this on a different day, this could be any day, it's still going to be relevant to you because you've been drawn to listen to this episode at the time that's divinely chosen for you. So let's
So interesting.
tune into this field, and we'll ask, what is the energy for today? Let's be shown some higher wisdom that will help us navigate the energy of today. Okay, so I'm just shuffling. Sometimes a card flies out and it really wants to be seen and wants to make sure you don't miss it. Other times, you need to pick a card. So today's the day we pick a card. So I'm just splitting my deck and picking up a card from the middle. Oh, it's the Knight of Swords reversed. Okay, so I'll unpack this card for you guys. Firstly, I'll turn it upright so I can just describe the picture to you, because I always like to say what I'm seeing. So in this card, you've got a knight. He's on a horse. He's holding a sword in his hand. He's brandishing it in front of him, and this horse is moving really fast. You can see this. They're traveling really quickly, and they're actually traveling into a headwind. And you know this because the clouds and the trees are being blown in the opposite direction. So the night energy is very courageous. It's very gallant, but it's also not afraid of risk. The night energy can sometimes be a bit irresponsible, I want to say, a bit brash, especially when we're seeing this fast energy. This is a knight the Knight of Swords. Swords represents air, which represents the thought realm, communication. And so this knight is someone who's very assured in himself. He has already got everything planned out in his head. He's very decisive. He knows exactly what he's doing. However, some people would see this card and say, hey, he's traveling in the wrong direction because his horse is taking him left. So that, we always have to make sure when the Knight of Swords pops up that it's really great to have like really strong forward momentum and be chasing your goals and be like throwing fear to the wind and just going full steam ahead. But you want to make sure you're definitely sure you're heading in the right direction. Now, this Knight of Swords is upside down. So for me, when I see a card that pops up upside down, some people are like, that's the opposite of everything that it
Right.
is when it's upright. I see more as energetic blocks. So when a card appears for me, if it didn't want to be seen and that energy is not in your field, it wouldn't even show up. But the fact that it's shown up is saying, hey, you've got a challenge right now to realize yourself with this fully upright, highest accord Knight of Swords energy. But you've got a block right now that's not allowing you to go full steam ahead, that's not allowing you to move quickly. What's going on? So it's always an invitation to figure out what might be blocking you from realizing this card at its highest potential.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I think what that's saying for the collective here is that are you talking yourself out of taking action? Because now's the time to be courageous and move full steam ahead. So think about the kind of self-talk that you're engaging in, perhaps. Or you might also be projecting that out into your field. So is there something that you might be doing to someone, a friend or a loved one or someone at work, that's kind of like blocking them from doing that as well? And here's the intuitive part. That might not be how other people read this card. However, that's the download that I'm getting as I'm seeing this imagery, that this might not be about you doing this to yourself. It might actually be a kind of invitation for us all to just think about how can we actually encourage people in our lives to actually go forth themselves as well as us. How can we have that positive impact to help other people take action on their goals and dreams?
No, that's a great message, just to be supportive of everybody in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. Help them cultivate the courage and self-belief so their self-talk is really positive.
Oh, that's awesome. Do you pick up on people's energy? Obviously, some of it's obvious, but do you pick up on people's energy in general, good, bad, or otherwise?
Yeah, I think I do.
A blessing and a
um,
curse, I'm sure.
yeah, yeah. I think a lot of people have this more attuned antenna these days. You hear of people more often trusting their gut feeling when they might come to contact with someone. And I don't think people have like necessarily good or bad energy. It might be, I definitely work with like heavy energy and light energy is probably a better way or a way that I like to describe it. And sometimes it's okay to work with people who have lower energy because we're there to kind of uplift them. Or sometimes we might be holding that energy that's lower than someone else's energy, and they're happy to like be merging fields to uplift us because light energy, that high frequency vibration, is very hard to be pulled down. It's much easier to like help lift someone up a few levels with that light energy. But sometimes you're not in a position to take on that low energy for whatever reason, and you can kind of keep your distance, and that's kind of helpful. It's a benefit of being attuned. But I think that a lot of people now feel that, say, in crowds, that they get really overwhelmed by crowds, whereas
Mhm.
perhaps a few years back it wasn't an issue. And that can be because we all kind of were isolated for a little while, but I think it's also because we're much more attuned to collective energy, and that the meshing in such close proximity of so many people's energy bodies can become really like overwhelming sometimes. And that's like partly what that feeling is if you're having issues going into crowds and feeling at your full power. You might feel drained when you're doing that, or you might feel overwhelmed, have some kind of anxiety sort of effects in your body. It can be that you're a lot of people say that is being what's the word, an empath.
Mhm.
um, or you've become, you are, or you're becoming more highly sensitive to other people's energy in the collective energy field.
Gosh. Well, you wear a lot of different hats. You do a lot of different things. So I want
Mhm.
you to promote yourself so people know where to find you and, could get a hold of you if they want a reading. But I
Yeah.
also want you, after you do that, to tell me what's next for you. I mean, it seems like just in your vibe, are you getting stronger every day? Like, are you feeling like you're getting spiritually more enlightened every day?
Yeah, we all are. Like it's just being open to that being like happening for you. And so I have definitely dedicated the past few years to this. You know, there's a lot of sacrifice. There doesn't have to be, but for me on my journey there was in,
Mm-hmm.
you know, leaving my career that was really like draining me, even though I was making lots of money and getting quite successful, it was really burning me out. So taking time out to actually figure out why that was and what I might actually prefer to be doing, and then just honoring myself. So it's been a bit of a sustenance lifestyle for a little while because I really wanted to commit to doing that for myself. But it's been such an amazing journey, and I've met so many cool people. And yeah, things just keep unfolding. But, you know, one thing that happens when you leave all that easy stuff behind is that you've got to create your opportunities yourself. Once you
Right.
start doing that and realizing your creative potential, the universe starts connecting you with people and starts opening up so that new opportunities arrive, and it's up to you to say yes. So I've been in a bit of that space, like getting to the point where I'm really loving teaching tarot, moving from being more of a reader to more of a teacher, because I love activating and unlocking that in other people. So I
Right.
offer online resources for learning tarot. I have my YouTube channel where I share like my collective readings. I also do one-on-one tarot training. So if you'd like to kind of be initiated into the mystical art of tarot, that is something that I can do. I can work with you in an 8-week container to help train you. So basically, when you're complete with the work, you will confidently read tarot. You know, not just like
Mm-hmm.
me, but you'll be confident in your own skill and your own intuitive knowing that you'll be able to go out into the world and read for yourself and other people, which is like fantastic. So that's one part of what I do. I'm a medicine maker, so I work with energetic flower remedies, and I have a shop. It's in Australia, but you can order all around the world, which is flowerguide.com.au. And I'll just share my Crystal Aura Tarot details as well. If you do want to work with me, you can find me on Instagram at Crystal Aura Tarot, or at my website, crystalauratarot.com. I have a podcast. It's called The Initiates, and it is a podcast all about mysticism, spiritual awakening. It's really, I really love to go deep into spiritual topics that people might find confusing or quite complex, and break them down to be as simple as possible. And I've started working, or I've started a new community called Sacred Ceremony. And this is where my work has led me recently, which I'm so excited about, because one of my missions, I think, or what I've been told by my guides, is that the vibration of my voice is very important, to share that with the world. And it's led me to do that through offering online ceremonies where I'm getting these amazing channeled guided meditations, and I'm working it into a beautiful online ceremonial space. So I guess I'd call myself like a ceremonial space holder here. And through Sacred Ceremony, I'm hosting monthly online events where you can join in a beautiful ceremony at home that includes sound, it includes sacred smoke, it includes working with herbal tea or cacao or whatever you like to work with, even just water. We program our drink, and then we go on a journey, and it's really activating and amazing. And in Sacred Ceremony, it's the very beginning of this community, but I'm also going to be teaching people who feel called to host these ceremonies themselves how to do that, how to run a really cool, amazing online ceremony for your community.
Oh my gosh. I'm so happy for you. It
Thank
seems
you.
like you're just living your purpose, and that's what we all want to be doing here. So I think that's amazing. And I'll put it all in the show notes so people can find you. But Natalie, thank you so much for taking the time, especially at 7 in the morning, to be on my podcast and sharing all of your insights. It's just been so eye-opening. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's been my pleasure, Donna. Thank you so much for inviting me. I've had a smile on my face the whole time we've been chatting. Your energy is just beautiful.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I appreciate it, and I will definitely be in touch with you soon.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.